Good morning, everybody. I started just a little bit early. And good morning to you, PJ's Not So Secret Diary. Thank you for becoming a new member. Made it to Friday, guys. December 2nd, is it? December 2nd. I got up so early this morning, which actually wasn't even early for me. It was like I slept in. Kind of feels like a different day. But how would it not? How would it not? Good morning, Apple. Good morning, Shani. Good morning, Shannon. JTB made it in. Sonia Gray, good morning. Marisay made it in. Lauren made it in. Hello, Dina. Friday. Exactly. So if you were here, we had a members live yesterday morning. Always fun chatting with you guys. Love it, love it. In the afternoon, we had the press conference for Michael Vaughn. It's a wonder I slept a wink. If you missed it, go back and check that out. It's on the channel. It's a wonder I slept a wink. That was a little too much for old Brooks. Tell you what. Then throughout the day, different things were coming out about the massacre in Idaho. Total insanity. This case is like a toddler. You can't take your eyes off of it for a minute. Because either law enforcement is backtracking saying, well, no, hold on. That's not really what I said. Or, well, no, that was a misunderstanding. Or, out of the blue, they say there's a sixth person on the lease. There's a lot going on. There's a lot going on. As of right now, all we know is that sometime between 3 and 4 in the morning on November 13th, Kaylee, Madison, Ethan, and Xana were murdered. It was a Reddit rumor last week. Now it's been confirmed that Kaylee and Madison were in one room together, having a slumber party. Kaylee, of course, came to town to show her new ride to Maddie. They went to the bar, went to the food truck, dialed up the X, which is popular to do at 2, 3 in the morning, if you know what I mean. We know 911 was called at 11:58. Other than that, that's really all I got for you. It's crazy. So early on, the mayor goes and he's, flapping his gums saying, oh, it's a crime of passion. It's a crime of passion. And it's like, whoa. Now, look, I miss Days of Our Lives being on NBC as much as the next person. I'm not a Peacock person. So look, Marlena Brady, what do you mean crime of passion? You know what that leads people to believe. And then they're like, well, I don't know really where he got that. I wouldn't worry about that. But it is targeted and it is isolated. All in the span of about 2 hours yesterday, the chief himself gave an interview to Good Morning America talking about it being targeted. Then it comes out that was kind of I think the DA's office might have misunderstood us. So we're back to square one. We have a checklist today. We're just going to start ticking off the boxes and try to figure this out. We have a 6th tenant. I don't know if the tenant lives there or if they had put a deposit to secure the room or if they got pissed in the middle of the semester and moved out. I don't know. There may not have been particularly a target as far as the 2 roommates downstairs or the 4 that were murdered. It was even said in one article the house was a target. Well, the house survived. The house didn't get stabbed. And not to get anybody too excited, but they did take Jeremy's DNA. Jeremy is like a rash that won't go away, and he stalked the damn police until they finally swabbed his cheek. So we're good there. Jeremy is in the system. They have Jeremy's DNA. What should we start with, guys? What is bugging you the most about this case? Besides the fact that I know that we had some people that were in chat the other day and they were like, listen to me, you guys are all wrong. Listen, y'all, are you even hearing what I'm saying? And it's like, listen, the FBI, the Behavioral Science Unit, Idaho State Police, the local law enforcement are all working on this together, and probably some other agencies, and they can't make sense of it. So that means you can't really either. We're all in this together, and it's insane. Actually, I will get this out of the way first. This came out Wednesday afternoon, I believe. Today's Friday. Press conference statement. It has come to the attention of the Pathfinder that during the Moscow Police Department's press conference on Wednesday, November 23rd, an individual identified herself as a member of our staff. Boy, everybody's a journalist anymore, right? Then, like in the Delphi case, they said there was a clerical error made by an FBI civilian employee. I guess that's all of us, right? I kind of feel like I help the FBI every day. Where does this stuff come from? It goes on to say, this is not true. The individual is not affiliated with the Pathfinder. Members of our students and staff were not in attendance at the press conference. We apologize for the confusion. We are also confused and concerned about the actions of the individual and have requested that the behavior cease. So obviously it's not a crime to pretend like you are part of the press, I guess. I don't know. It's nuts. So there's the back of her head. Now, this really tells me all I need to know. Ladies, if you see your friend's roots looking like this, you pull them to the side and you say, look, I understand the beautician is expensive and I don't have any cash on me right now, but I know where to get some Miss Clairol, because the back of this woman's head has been circulating for well over a week. I did not need to hear that she did not have press credentials. All I had to see was this picture. I don't need to see her face. I don't need to see any of that. But I know by looking at this picture, we have more problems than her just pretending to be part of the press. That's the tip of the iceberg, guys, and you know exactly what I'm talking about. That is a crime in itself. That is a crime in itself. All right, so we can check off that box. Look how good we're doing. Look how good we're doing. We're only 10 minutes into the show. That is awesome. I'd wig that shit so fast. I'd have it up in a ponytail. I'd wear a hat. I'd look like the Unabomber. No way. No way. Mary said, did she ask any questions? I'm afraid to know. I'm afraid to know. The internet lives forever, lady, and not only did you pretend to be part of the press, you let someone take a picture of the back of your head like that. Not me. So we know she doesn't have any friends. We can check that off the box too. Well, speaking of friends, I do have the link pinned. If you want to grab it and come up and talk, I got Jay Woody backstage. Jay, your avatar's not up, and you have a new avatar. All I see is what it looks like, a paper plate. You'll have to log out and put your avatar back up. Alexa said she asked multiple questions in one, and I've got all the answers. I've got all the answers. Could not believe when I saw that picture. Could not believe it. Then it comes out because I put that picture in Discord and I'm like, what the hell? What the hell? And then it comes out she's a fake member of the press. Huh. Yeah. Whole thing is crazy. All right, now he's back. Good morning, Jay Woody. How are you?
Hi, good morning. I'm doing well. I don't know what was going on with the avatar. It looked all right on my side.
That happens quite a bit. I don't know. It's probably a StreamYard thing. I can't blame everything on YouTube. So, from your vantage point, what do you think is the most pressing right now? The 6th tenant, them saying that the kids inside may not be particularly a target per se. Jeremy, I'm going to save for the end, okay? Because I need some time. I need some more coffee before I get to Jeremy and the cheek swab.
Yeah, I'm not focused on Jeremy at all. Let him have his 15 minutes of fame.
Mhm.
You know, you know what they say about 15 minutes of fame. You're the only person who doesn't realize it's 15 minutes. Um,
We're at
I would,
14,
yeah,
14 minutes and 59 seconds.
I would say, the 6th Tenant is a pretty big deal. And the thing that gets me is law enforcement coming out and saying that we do not believe that they were at the home at the time of the murders. Well, where were they? That's the better question that needs to be answered.
Where were they? They said they are. Let me put the tweet up real quick. Let me get Bad Root Lady off of there. Move it, Bad Root Lady. Goodness. Some things. All right. Brian Inton said new detectives are aware of a sixth person listed on the lease at the residence, but do not believe that individual was present during the incident. And I have not been, I was pretty taken aback yesterday about everything with Michael Vaughn, so I had to let my mind clear. Did this person, now I was telling you before the show, when my son went to college, we had to get his room and everything set up in June. So we had to start paying in, well, deposit. We had to start paying in July, even though he didn't move in till August. So is this someone who just secured the room and wasn't moving until January? Is this someone that got pissed in the middle of the semester and said, forget it, and they're not letting them out of their lease? Why does Kaylee still have a lease when she wasn't living there? Does anybody know? Because I'm asking.
They the sixth person got on the lease in October, right?
Yes. And
And
I'm assuming it's from this ad. If you look on the screen, 1122 King Road Apartments. This is on Zumper. Never heard of Zumper. October 2nd of this year. It says close to University of Idaho campus in Greek Row. Rent a bedroom in this updated home. Perfect floor plan with 3 levels, each having 2 bedrooms and 1 bath, providing separation and privacy. Bring your friends over, and they did, to enjoy the outdoor living space on the top floor deck or new patio just off the kitchen. So October 2nd, they were looking for someone to fill a room. I have not seen an ad though for Kaylee's room, so I'm just going to assume that this landlord doesn't let people out of their leases that easy.
yeah, I mean, logic would suggest that he would be replacing Kaylee to keep that number, whatever number the tenant wanted, 5 or 6. Um, but it's still odd that we're just now hearing about this
Yeah.
many days later. And I can understand law enforcement not wanting to soft dox the person.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Oh, it's going to
soft,
happen.
yeah, soft dox is kind of something I made up myself.
I
Obviously, it's
like
not
that.
doxing it. Yeah,
I like that. Soft docs.
but yeah, you don't want to put anybody under the microscope that had nothing to do with it at all.
No, Daily
But
Mail will have this out by noon. Don't worry.
but say they don't have anything to do with it at all, rather than just we don't believe they were there. That's too conspicuous, in my opinion.
Well, if they weren't even there or hadn't even moved in yet, because we have zero detail, just that they're aware that there was a sixth person on the lease. So we have Madison, Xana, Dylan, and Bethany that were actively living there. Kaylee, I'm going to assume, was still on the lease, but she just came to visit and show her ride. So then we have a sixth person, but that sixth person wasn't there at all. And the sixth person didn't even get called for the powwow they had at 11:58 for them all to collectively call 911.
How do we know that?
I don't know. Could have showed up with the rest of the gang. True.
Yeah.
Now,
It really changes the dynamics of everything, when you're looking at relationships and where people were the night of and the day before and the day after.
well, it
If
does.
this person did live there, just wasn't there that night, that raises a lot of questions on my end.
Well, and I'm looking, Lisa has a good point. Maybe they were subleasing it from Kaylee, which is why she was sleeping with Madison. Because Kaylee and Madison, which I mean, Kaylee moves out, she's going to take her stuff with her. So there's another empty room. I'm just taking a guess there. So she was sleeping in Madison's room. She came to visit Madison, show Madison the new ride. So they were asleep in bed, which leaves me with another question. You kill one, how did the other one not wake up and not scream literally bloody murder?
Yeah, and that's a scenario that I've ran through my mind over and over. With all four of them. How is there not more noise, more ruckus, more things overturned in the house?
Well, according to the coroner, and the coroner did give some a tad bit little differing statements between networks, but that's okay. But her definitive answer was most, in quotes, of them had one lethal stab wound, fatal wounds to chest or upper body. So basically, I don't want to be too graphic. There was a kill shot with each one of them. So somebody knows how to wield a knife, okay?
For sure.
But now Xana, it has been said by the coroner. Now this is not the medical examiner. This is the coroner. The coroner said that Xana had defensive wounds and went as far as to, let Xana's father know, because when he gave his interview, he said she fought to the end. She had defensive wounds on her. So we can guess, would have been the last victim, maybe. I don't know. And Kathy said maybe that is what is meant by the house is the target, like maintenance men. Let's think about that. You have a house full of people, not even going to talk about college age. You have a house full of people. You know, you have maintenance people on your staff because you've got to get rooms ready for them to move in. You got scuffs on the wall. You got, stains on the floor, the whole nine yards. So have we looked into maybe the maintenance crew?
Yeah, and whenever I'm trying to obtain a profile of this possible suspect, I've narrowed it down to three, and the incel was my first thought. If you remember when you first asked me about this case, and I was describing someone who wanted to be with one of the girls, knew they couldn't, not necessarily a kill for SA, but a kill just out of knowing that they would never be able to be with them.
If I can't have you, nobody can, type of thing.
Right. And whenever I think of that type of person, I think of someone who possibly works at the school, someone who sees them almost every day, if not every day. Maybe not up close and personal, but from a distance. someone who knows where they live, someone who knows the area, someone who's familiar with the routes they take on their daily routine.
So, like the janitor from the Breakfast Club,
100%.
the eyes and ears of the school. Could be.
That's just one, but I think it's a very likely possibility when you think of targeted. And I'm not gathering targeted because of the police said it, but because clearly someone or for some reason was targeted.
And now they're saying that may not be the case. So we were just talking about
Well,
maintenance people in and out. I guess they have backed away from the house. They have, they have police there to make sure nobody breaks in and everything like that. So Daily Mail, they have put some pictures up on their website of just how the house. It's eerie. It's eerie to think about what happened there, and they just here's some pictures from inside the house. So looks like we have an empty bottle, lots of red Solo cups. That seems to be a college tradition. There's one picture. I gotta scroll. There's looks like we have a moving box there, a cereal bowl, a bunch of dishes there. What I mean, this has not been tampered with and touched. The police didn't make a snack. So it looks like somebody was definitely using the house on Saturday and didn't clean up after themselves.
where did this picture come from again? I'm sorry, I missed that.
Daily Mail.
Did they provide a source?
I guess it's them peering through the window.
Okay.
That's all I can think of. I didn't ask where they got it. It's a stack of red Solo cups. Nathaniel Jones for dailymail.com. I'm telling you, anybody, I think Daily Mail, anybody can send them stuff because it's always a different reporter every time. Okay, it says a stack of red Solo cups, several cereal bowls of spoons still in them, and an empty microwavable popcorn bag are pictured still in the house. They left the TV on. It says no internet connected. Huh. Now that's kind of weird. No, it says it's a glowing computer monitor. That's eerie. They're going to try to make something out of this no network detected.
Somebody will.
Sure they will. Had some Christmas lights up, more of the red cups. There's the kids. It was pointed out to me. Is it this one? There was a picture that almost looked like blood on the wall. Maybe it's up here. Maybe not. They said that looks like a blood smudge. But anyway, you would definitely, just from wear and tear on the house, I will say the house looks really eerie without all the cars outside. But just the wear and tear on the house, just from the tenants, that's what they were talking about. What's that on the wall? Wear and tear from the tenants. You would have maintenance people that you would probably need quite a bit. You're not going to rely on them to change a light bulb,
Yeah, I don't know. Whenever I think of a maintenance person, I think of somebody at an apartment complex that's employed there. With this being a privately owned residence by a landlord, I think it would be more of a private contractor that probably this was just one of many houses on his list in that part of town, if that's the case.
Yeah. Whew.
That article's dated when?
It's Daily Mail, so give me a second. They don't always know what damn day it is. Let me see. This says Friday, December 2nd. It came out yesterday, published December 1st.
But we don't know when the photos were taken?
No, sir. Somebody, when the police started clearing out, they got out there and started taking pictures through the window, for sure. Then it was, noted Probably not the biggest thing in the world, but if you look, there's crime scene tape up in the damn trees across from the balcony, catty corner from the balcony. So they were like, nobody's climbing the tree to get over to the balcony. I've never seen crime scene tape way up in the trees.
Well, I believe that's, in my opinion, just a perimeter. From what I could tell, when you're looking at the back of the house from the trees, you're kind of on the same level as the top floor. I would think that that's just to prevent anyone from getting any kind of close to the home.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And remember, Daily Mail, somebody could have already had those photos because Daily Mail, I don't know who sent them these or if they crawled up there and got them themselves. I have no idea. Just remember that the Daily Mail does pay for information. So somebody could have made a quick $100, $200. I don't know.
I would hope a little more than that, but you're right.
You never know. Times are tough, Jay Woody. Times are tough.
Yeah, inflation's a bitch.
It is. Even for the Daily Mail. So let's talk about the target. I'm going to play what the police chief said to thank you, just a YouTuber, for becoming a YouTube member. That's awesome. So I'm going to play what the chief said yesterday, and then I'm going to put up what came out right after that. The circle jerk never ends. Everybody is confused, and they have a ton of people working on this. A ton of authorities working on this with the evidence, with the case file. I don't mean people on the internet. I mean, they have a ton of authorities working on this. So this is what he said yesterday.
The reason why you believe it was targeted, or the reasons, are so crucial to the investigation that they cannot be revealed?
And we are not going to reveal that. That's part of that investigation, trying to pull the pieces in that will help give us the before, the during, and the after.
In his first sit-down interview, Police Chief James Fry emotional about the toll this has taken on the community.
Do you believe that you were prepared to handle something like this?
So we're trained very well. We're also aware when we need to bring in the Idaho State Police and the FBI or ATF.
Now a multi-agency effort underway, investigators analyzing a mountain of evidence, but divulging no clear leads in nearly 3 weeks.
There is no secrets in a small town. How is this a secret?
That's why we're going to continue to push through this investigation until we can uncover that secret. And when we do, it'll be one of those days that a lot of relief will come to our community.
Patience, a hard thing to ask for of families desperate for answers.
The community and the family members really want some assurances from you.
What I can offer is that we are going to work continuously, and we're going to provide as many answers as we can.
Now, when I asked the chief about this case being in its 3rd week, he called that surreal. But Whit, he did go on to say they will not allow this case to go cold.
But in the meantime, as you pointed out, still so much fear and concern in that community. All right, Kana, thank you.
Okay, really hard not to feel bad for him, because no way in hell, you want to look as competent as possible, but this isn't something that they trained for their entire career. This isn't something that you would ever expect. This is nuts. So as they're talking about, it's, they've said targeted, isolated. They said it in the press conference. That was, the very first press conference they said this. So after he gives this interview, hang on, I got to drop this link real quick. Here we go. There's the membership link. After this comes out, and I'm talking, it seemed like it was within minutes, then this is put out in basically every publication. Every publication. In their latest release, police stated that the prosecutor's identification of the case as a targeted attack was miscommunication. Police say detectives do not currently know if any of the occupants of the house on King Road were specifically targeted, but they're continuing to investigate. So it's like, whoa, hold your horses. Hold your horses. We didn't specifically say. They did, though. They did. So we have kind of a backtracking going on. And I don't think that he knew that this was going to hit all of the major publications right after he just discussed it with Good Morning America. What do you think?
Oh, 100% backtrack. And going back on that last clip, not being prepared is not an excuse. You're law enforcement, you're first responder. You have to be prepared for the unprepared, the unexpected. We said the same thing in the Kylie Rodney case.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter if you've not done that before or not done it that many times. You still are responsible to handle these types of cases and situations. So no pass there.
Nope. And just like at your job or my job or any of us, if we don't know, we find someone who does. We're not expected to know everything. So like he said, if we know how to also get other resources, which they did. So Idaho State Police is involved. FBI is involved. FBI brought in the behavioral science unit saying, we're going to need these guys, which as of yesterday, we're still on the scene. And that in itself is a little spooky to me because normally BSU comes in and they're like, all right, this is what you're looking for. They hand the ball over and they're out of town. They're still there. So they didn't play Ronnie Lawson in Hawkins County saying, I'm the top cop. This is my turf. And I'm going to do all this myself. So they did bring in the extra resources. That's a good thing. I'm just a little embarrassed for this poor man that he is talking to Good Morning America. All right, this is blaring on everybody's TV as they're getting their coffee, heading out the door to go to work or logging into work, talking about this targeted situation, which was said in the very first press conferences. They said targeted and isolated. It was a headline everywhere. Then right after, like I said, this pops up and they say, now there might have been a little miscommunication between us and the prosecutor. And everyone knows how I feel about the prosecutor. He's too cute for words. He's got a Santa Claus beard. I said, he does no wrong in my book. How dare you say that he misunderstood?
Yeah, we know they said targeted, and whomever the first officer was to come to that conclusion obviously spoke before he had the full gravity of the situation. For whatever reason, they're backtracking now. I almost think that maybe they're, I don't know, it's a weird one because the word is everyone there in Idaho or that town is scared to death because of not knowing what type of killer is on the loose. But yet law enforcement wants to tone it down and say, oh, it wasn't targeted. Well, to me, that means that there's a mass murder on the loose. So, you got to have it one way or the other and not have so much gray area in between. I understand you can't show your cards, but, you got to be a little more thorough.
I'm almost wondering, as a way to appease the families and appease the public, if they just spoke too soon. And now they're almost 3 weeks into the investigation and they're going, but now it may have nothing to do with anybody in there. As far as a crazed madman randomly going into this one house, that's kind of a shot in the dark. Because there's so many other houses up and down. We all know Jeremy was asleep across the street. What's wrong with Jeremy? Why didn't you go kill Jeremy? Why that house? That's why they're saying you have, it could be the house that's the actual target.
What would set that house apart from any other house on the block,
Exactly. Why that house? Some people say, well, it's the tree line behind it. Well, that tree line is not specific to that house. That tree line goes behind other houses, and it's not the only tree line in that town, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, and to answer my own question, what would set that house apart from any other house is that you have 6 people living in it, and 5 of which are beautiful young girls that could be a target for any kind of weirdo.
Yeah. And, by saying, well, it's isolated and targeted, and now saying, well, it may not have anything to do with the victims per se, the target could just be the house. That's really not going to quell anyone's fears in the town anyway, because you just had a mass murder. Whatever the motive, whatever the target, whatever instigated this sicko isn't going to make you feel any better till they're locked away, period. So, you can call it a duck. If it walks and talks, it's a duck. There's a danger to the community. Or some
Correct.
community, this person could have moved on.
Yeah, I can never really put myself in the position of someone who lives in a small town like this and something like this going down, because I've always lived in big cities and murders happen, but people turn the page of the newspaper and it's gone the following day.
Mm-hmm.
So I would have to think that there is a lot of anxiety in the air.
Kathy has yet another great point. Maybe mistaken that someone else lived there. You have people moving in, you have people moving out. If you had it out for someone and you get in there and you're like, shit, they don't live here anymore.
Would it really take killing 4 people in a row, though, to figure out that you were in the wrong house?
Nope. But I'm telling you, anything is possible. I cannot believe they were like, well, the DA, when he spoke out first on the Today Show and they were saying, crime of passion, and he kind of, he's so cute. He kind of giggled and he was like, well, like, I don't know where that goofy mayor got that. It's targeted and isolated. Then they have their press conference. This is targeted and isolated. Then yesterday, well, maybe not. Maybe, but they haven't come out, and I'll be very surprised if they do, if they come out and say, listen, we think this is just the work of a damn Charles Manson, Ted Bundy, random, just wanted to kill somebody psycho. I don't know. And also the oddity of this house, because if you are just on some sort of thrill-seeking adventure and your idea of a good early Sunday morning is to do this, what a house to pick. Like I said, it's not a 3-bed, 2-bath ranch style where you come in and you're like, oh, well, the kitchen's on my right. There's the hallway. That's where I'm going to find my prey. This house is laid out really funky.
Yeah, I have myself muted a moment ago sitting here talking. Yeah, way bigger issues if you have a true serial killer type on the loose. And even though that's a small town, it's not far from Spokane and the bigger cities where it could be anyone. You'll never catch them unless there's some crazy break in the case.
That's going to lead them somewhere, yeah. And that could be a long time.
Exactly.
You have 4 victims. And the thing is, you have victims that are very connected, not just roommates. You have 2 people that are dating. So you have Xana and Ethan. That's another mystery we have. Where were Xana and Ethan the night before? We were led to believe they were at a fraternity party between 8 and 9 p.m. Like, okay, just an even hour, or is it just about? Then Aaron Snell with the Idaho State Police said they were seen at the party. It doesn't mean that they hung around at the party. So we don't even know where they were all night. Hopefully they're getting on that. So we have 2 people that are dating. Then you have Kaylee and Madison, who are like sisters. They're not just roommates. They weren't like buddies in high school and went to college together. They've essentially grown up together to the point that their families are like, we've lost 2 daughters because they were so connected at the hip. So you have these very well-connected relationships as well.
The whole deal with Xana and Ethan being at that party, if I'm not mistaken, wasn't there a request by law enforcement for anyone who had more information about that party to come forward?
Say that again. It cut out a little bit.
Wasn't there a request by law enforcement for anyone at that party to provide more information
Yep.
at the sub party that they were at? Yeah.
Yep. Over the weekend, they certainly did. They said, we need to know more about that party. We need to know more about it. They said there's a 5-hour gap. Aaron Snell said there's a 5-hour gap between 9 o'clock and when they arrived home. Also, there was some Venmos going back and forth, people splitting, paying people back, splitting pizzas, whatever. I don't know. So back to the 6th tenant. It was addressed on the news last night. I'm going to play that clip and maybe we can figure it out, because to just not mention a 6th person, I mean, the person wasn't there, but you know what people are thinking. You know, don't you, Jay?
Oh, I know.
Got breaking news tonight in the murders of the 4 University of Idaho students. We're now learning there was another person, a 6th person, on the lease at the home where Madison Mogen, Kaylee Gonsalves, and Xana Kernodle, I apologize, all lived at the off-campus house. 4 student Ethan Chapin was there visiting his girlfriend. Xana were killed. The more we learn, the more confused I become. So to help us sort through more of the sort of conflicting information, live from Moscow, Idaho, is News Nation senior national correspondent Brian Enton, who's been all over this story. Brian, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it. All right, so the Moscow police now confirming there was a 6th person on the lease. Why could that be important?
Yeah, this came as a surprise. I didn't see it coming. We knew, Dan, that there were 5 roommates. There are 6 bedrooms. We just assumed one of the bedrooms was maybe empty. Now they're saying there was a 6th person on the lease, but they're saying that person was not at the residence when the murders happened. Could possibly be important, could be someone who knows something, but at this point, they're not calling that person a suspect or anything like that.
All right. We're also getting a look at floor plans of the house. This is something that you have been talking about. You've been studying the floor plans a bit. Take us through this and why it's so important.
Yeah, it's interesting because we're trying to figure out what exactly happened inside and what the layout is. These floor plans, it's a 3-story house. First floor, you've got 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom. Not as important on the first floor, though, because we've learned that none of the victims were on the first floor. Second floor, which is sort of the main level, 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom. We know that there were victims killed on the second floor. And then third floor, 2 more bedrooms and a bathroom up there. And we know that victims were killed up on the third floor. What we don't know, we've been trying to get the information from police, is who was in what room, what order the killings happened in. They're not releasing that information right now.
All right, and real quick, what's the latest on, they keep going back and forth on whether this was a, quote, targeted attack or not?
Yeah, super confusing. I'm glad you said you're confused too, because I think everybody is. Initially, they said it was targeted. I interviewed the prosecutor earlier this week. He said that the victims were not targeted, but the residence was targeted. Yesterday, a news statement from police saying, wait a minute, we don't have any evidence that anyone was targeted. And now another statement today saying, no, it was targeted. We just don't know if it was the residents that was targeted or the victims that were targeted. None of it really.
Okay, that's what we've got. So it's okay to not know, but sometimes it looks sloppy to speak out your ass.
Definitely.
So,
I mean, to say that the house was targeted, but the people in it weren't, that's...
And then to say, but now hang on, we don't have any evidence. That's what it is.
Such a blanket statement.
That's what it is. They have finished processing the house. It's like I said a week or so ago. God, I'm losing track of my days. I said, I can't believe they're coming out of the chute and they're saying that they're not using the word cleared per se. And I'm not trying to make anyone a suspect or guilty. I'm not, or anything like that. I'm not accusing anyone. But what I said was, it's way, way, way early on to say, we don't think they're involved. We don't think they're involved. If you're an ex-boyfriend and you are having an issue with a girl that got murdered, it's really premature to just clear, I mean, to say, oh, I don't think they're involved. You better be 100% sure. And we have a lot of not 100% sures. It's like they're telling us as they find out.
Yeah, I don't like it, and I know no one in the true crime community does either.
No, we're used to waiting on information. We're good with that. We really are. I know some people go, I know they can tell us more. I know there's no reason they can't tell us more. There's one expert that goes on these shows all the time that says, oh, I know they can tell you more. We're good with waiting. We're okay. We're okay with waiting. This is what's frustrating. Just listen to this again.
Residence was targeted. Yesterday, a new statement from police saying, wait a minute, we don't have any evidence that anyone was targeted. And now another statement today saying, no, it was targeted. We just don't know if it was the residents that was targeted or the victims that were targeted. None of it really makes any sense. It's really hard to follow. And at this point, I've been covering it every day and I don't even know what to make of it.
Brian Etten, thank you. Appreciate it. Let's bring in News Nation's Ashley Banfield, whose show has been all over this story. All right, so Ashley, we're just talking about the mixed signals there, but without any sort of suspect, how would they even know if it was targeted or not?
Well, here's where the rub is, I think, for so many people. It's important if you live in that community or if you have your kids have been sent off to University of Idaho to know that this is not something that could affect them, that there was something else that had to do with that home or those people. And that's why it happened there. That's the message that went out. And then it has just been flipped on its ear, flipped back again, flipped on its ear again, contorted, and now it's extraordinarily frustrating. And I don't just mean for journalists, I mean for the people affected. And so why they continue to say, we can't tell you why, that part I understand. They say it's germane to the investigation. I know you are the same way, Dan. I have always respected police officers' work and investigators' work when they say they can't reveal, work product. A, because it thwarts an investigation. B, it can thwart a prosecution. But the way they have manipulated and unmanipulated this particular important piece for the calmness of the community has been very troublesome.
Yeah. And again,
and I hate to bring it up. People don't like when I bring up business and money, but sometimes it's got to come in. You have to also look at kids that are transferring in or in their senior year of high school right now that had all the plans in the world of going to the University of Idaho, sitting back now going, maybe I don't want to go to Murder U now.
Oh yeah, there's definitely that aspect, and I think that's why you see, is it the dean in every press conference up there?
Oh yeah, because they have to assure all these kids that are saying, yeah, thanks for the scholarship, but no thanks.
Right.
I hear Boise calling me, if you know what I mean, or Boomer Sooner. Maybe I don't want to go there now.
Brooks, maybe they prefer just to come on down to UT. I don't know.
Oh, are we going there? Not today, man. I had to look at that lady's grown out roots. But that's
odd.
That is a big part of it because that they have a lot of damage control to do.
Damage control, yes.
They've had a lot of discussions saying, well, we had all of these people applying. We were, boasting about the wait list, and now it kind of seems like we can't give it away.
Yeah, I mean, I would certainly have some mixed feelings if I was 18 years old and getting ready to attend my first semester there.
Colleges are big business. Universities are big business. You also have the alumni going, hey, now we pay big bucks to this school every year. I used to work for one. I was talking about it on a Members Live. He went to University of Idaho, a chemist, and big supporter of the school. And they're going to say, listen, you got to find out what's going on. We have 4 students that were massacred in that town. That could be part of the backtrack. Hey, listen, it wasn't anybody in the house. Don't worry about it. Something's going on with the house. Just don't rent the house.
Yeah, I mean, one college kid murdered is an extremely unfortunate, but also big deal. 2 is even bigger. Now we're multiplying that and getting 4 out of it. There's no doubt that there's so many levels to this equation.
4 in the same house, 2 sleeping downstairs, a 6th tenant that we don't know anything about. Were they moving in, moving out? They weren't there. Then we have in their sleep, 2 girls in the same bed. They're asleep. So you have somebody on the loose in that town who not only is like Tom Cruise in Mission Impossible that can get in this crazy layout of a house and kill 4 people undetected. Also, we can't find them. And we're saying targeted and isolated, but now we're going, but now hang on. That was a miscommunication.
Well, whenever I'm examining possible profiles of the killer as well, ex-military came to mind. And when you mentioned Tom Cruise, Mission Impossible, I have thought, coupled with the fact that the coroner medical examiner believes that it was a military style knife or hunting knife used, would the killer possibly have to have some type of night vision on to be able to accurately, I don't want to be so vain and say capable of committing the kill shots that he did, but that is what it is. Ex-military.
You would have to have light, wouldn't you, to see where you're aiming? I would think. It is dark in Idaho between 3 in the morning and 4 in the morning, just like it is here. And as the coroner said, I'll put it up, most of them, which there's 4, most of them had just 1 lethal stab wound. Somebody had to have a nightlight on, correct?
Yeah, so somebody knew what they were doing. And I'm not buying the fact that it was some type of, or not a fact, but the thought of it was some type of professional hitman or professional hit. They're going to come in with a gun, with a silencer on and be wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. But this person was methodical. They had the tools and they had a mission. And when I say mission, I don't mean like a military mission. I mean like their premeditation was thought out very carefully and knew what they had to do to be able to get in and out without causing any attention to be turned to them. And you have somebody that definitely knew what they were doing.
Mm-hmm. If the coroner is what she is saying is correct, most had 1 lethal wound. You have 2 girls in the bed. So if you're just attacking, they're going to wake the other one up, who will, I'm telling you, I don't care if they have earbuds in or not, are going to wake up the whole damn house. And it's dark. What are the odds that Kaylee and Madison were going to be in the same room together that night?
Well, if the perp knows that Kaylee had already moved out, that would be the most obvious place or obvious room she would be in.
or sleeping on the couch. I would assume somebody be sleeping on the couch if you have people over. What were the odds that nobody else stayed over? I mean, Ethan was there with Xana. Maybe that wasn't expected. Well, I mean, it's a party house. How do you know it's not going to look like some drunk fest and they're all laid out around the floor like Jonestown? I still think somebody was inside that house, snuck in and waiting, and would have easily snuck back out if it wasn't the right night.
I don't know. I think you're taking a lot of chance in that type of scenario of if the pieces don't fall into place where they need to be for you to be able to do this effectively and able to get out, in and out quick enough that it would be more trouble trying to get in and wait than coming in at a later time.
Mm-hmm. So instead of trying to find if somebody recently bought a K-bar knife, maybe they need to look at who might be buying something that you can see in the dark too. Or they already had this stuff.
Right. That's my opinion, is that they would have already had this stuff. Like you remember when we were talking at the very beginning as well, they're not going to find any knife purchases from any local stores or online stores. This is something that suspects had for a while.
They've had it for a while. You don't go in and get, the shot, the fatal shot, unless you know what you're doing. They didn't just go to the local, hang on, my neighbor's calling me. You don't just go to the local, Bass Pro Shop or whatever and say, yeah, I think I'll take a K-bar. And also not hurt yourself doing this. I mean, even OJ had a cut. He said he broke in a glass in Chicago.
I can't stand talking about the OJ case. It was just so sloppy and so ridiculously tried. Whatever.
Hang on. The cat ate my homework says you complain about the Daily Mail, yet you're not hesitant to show the photos from that publication. The photos are from the house. If People Magazine had the photos of the house, I would have used theirs. That's who had the photos up. What I'm saying about the Daily Mail is sometimes they have ages of victims all wrong. That's all I'm saying. I'm not going to discriminate over who has pictures of the house. That's kind of a crazy argument to try to pick today. Aren't there others? All right. So to put everybody's fears to rest, we spoke about it on the show Wednesday. Jeremy finally got his DNA taken. I know you have been up at night worried about this, JW.
I just kept running it back and forth through my mind, unable to sleep, tossing and turning.
And it's a good note. I mean, you live in a big city, that if something goes on in your neighborhood and you see a bunch of reporters at the end of your driveway, just pretend like you're picking up dog shit or something and just get back in the house. They're not going to beat down your door. Just don't talk to them. Just don't talk to them, because really nothing good ever comes of it. There's not very many cases where you're like, wow, that neighbor is really on it. They are always, always, always picked apart. But Jeremy, finally, he has been on Fox. He has been on CNN, I believe. He's been quoted everywhere. He has his own account on Reddit now where he tells people he had nothing to do with it. He's talked to some YouTubers. He's been on News Nation a couple of times. He keeps saying, listen, I keep telling the police to come get my DNA and they're not doing it. Well, finally, he got it done. So let's get this out of the way for sure.
They actually didn't reach out to me. I just decided it's easy. They actually didn't reach out to me. I just decided it's easier for me just to be proactive. And so yesterday I just went to the police station. I walked in, I said, here's my name, I'm Jeremy Reagan. Yesterday I was talked to by the police. The two officers that had interviewed me weren't there, but a different officer was like, all right, give me just a second. So he went, grabbed one of the mouth swabs, Came, took me into one of the rooms there, did a mouth swab, and said, "All right, you're good to go." And so, yeah, I just went in. They never contacted me. I just figured it's easier to just try and be proactive, just get it all out of the way soon.
The reason they didn't contact him, even though he's been reaching out to them for, I'd say, the better part of a week or more, is because they don't need his DNA. They don't believe he has anything to do with it.
Right.
But finally, he pinned him down yesterday. He got somebody with nothing else to do, and they got his DNA. I wonder if he's not building a resume. I don't know what type of law he plans to practice, but just
Oh
imagine
no, that's
you're like,
completely what it is.
yeah, I've been on the flip side of this. I've been on the flip side. I was part of a high profile case. I'm starting to think he's not as awkward as he wants to portray.
Oh yeah, this is his launch pad, and you can't completely blame him for not taking advantage of it.
Mm-hmm. So I mean, that could be it too. I mean, you go to get a job with your law firm. You just passed the bar. It's a very competitive field, but I've been on News Nation. Nah, Jeremy.
Contacted me. I just figured it's easier to just try and be proactive, just get it all out of the way sooner rather than later.
So you did the gumshoe work. You actually just went there. You didn't wait for them to come back. You went down there. What was it like when you went in? You just gave me a cursory description of what working with that police department was like, but did it seem like it was a din of activity? Was it busy? Did they seem confused as to who you were? Were they happy to see you? Did they give you any information for a follow-up? Did they say they wanted to interview you at all? Like what was your interaction like?
So when I walked in, it was just a couple of people behind that front desk there. And then the people that were there didn't know me or recognize me because I hadn't seen them before either. They also didn't seem to really know my name. So I don't know if they were specifically dealing with the case or not. But yeah, it was just, I walked in, I said, "Here's my name." They said, "All right, cool." And I couldn't remember the name of the officers that had come to interview me.
I like Ashley Banfield. I do. I like her a lot. But is she okay? What does she mean? What does she mean? Are they going to follow up with you? They didn't want his DNA. They didn't want the extra work. They're like, "You're good, Jeremy. You're good." Oh my God. Oh my God. But he does kind of talk about what's going on at the police department. So that's kind of interesting to know.
Because that's the first thing they had asked was who were the officers that did it. And I was like, "I don't know, but I have the phone number if that'll help you know who it was." But yeah, it wasn't busy in there at the time. I think at that point, officers were both out and about through town, but also getting ready to go to the vigil and just make sure everything there was fine. Because when I went to the police station itself, there were just those three people, like I said, behind the front desk. I don't know if anyone else was in the back. I obviously didn't get to go back there. But yeah, when I walked in, it was just those three people out in the lobby area.
It could have been very busy. It's not uncommon to really fan out in the crowd when there's a vigil in a high profile crime like that because killers do like to go back. They do like to mix in, and we're going to actually do some coverage on that in just a few moments of what exactly they would be looking for and what they might actually see. But what do you expect? I mean, first of all, I'm just sort of surprised that the officers that you originally spoke with didn't give you a business card or any kind of, identification that you should get back to them with any details that you might hear. Even if you could help and be a witness, you had no way of contacting them. But what do you expect to happen next, Jeremy? Or are you sort of as much in the dark as I feel like I am?
So I'm just as in the dark as you. I assume they'll send my things up or my DNA up to the lab. It'll come back with the results in however long it takes. It's not like the officers just came in and interviewed me and left. I did have one of the officers' phone numbers so that if I did find any.
What is he talking about? He doesn't need a follow-up. Are you waiting on a pregnancy test? What is he talking about? If he knows he was not part of this, and I am not trying to say that he is, I don't think that he has anything to do with it. What's going on, Jeremy? You don't need a follow-up phone call. You did this just to quell stop people saying that you were refusing to give your DNA. That's what all of this came from. He said that he was tired of people saying that he refused to give his DNA. He kept calling and calling and calling and calling. They wouldn't come get his DNA. So he went yesterday and said, take my DNA. And they did. And now you're waiting on a follow-up call? Nobody asked you for it, dude. Jeremy, you're good. You don't need a follow-up call.
Or hear anything, I was able to call him. So it's not like they just totally left me in the dark with that. I did have a phone number that I could reach, but I didn't have anything with like their name on it.
Right. Yeah. I mean, usually you would think there's a business card, but maybe it's not the day of the business card anymore. The really important thing is that you've been pilloried on the internet. Chat groups have just had a field day, freely throwing your name and making these just phenomenal accusations. Do you think this act that you have now carried through with, which is supplying your DNA, voluntarily going to the police department, do you think that it's actually going to put an end to what's happened online, to the accusations and to the speculation, to the feeding frenzy?
I think it'll definitely help with most of it. There's always going to be a small contingent that even if the killer is found, they're still going to think it's the wrong guy. It was me instead. But I think the overwhelming majority of it will stop, which probably just means.
All right, I'm all in. I'm very intrigued now. Does he want it to stop? He said even when they find the killer, they're going to think it's me. No, they're not. We've been good on this for a while. What is going on?
That's a very odd statement.
Yeah, do you want it to? Don't you want it to stop? I don't get this. I think this is a resume builder. Look at me. I was on News Nation. I've been on the other side of this. He might be wanting to write a book.
They'll go find someone else. I don't know what their plan is. People just like to do this for fun. But yeah, I think mostly it'll stop with me. And so I hope at least.
Yeah. Well, listen, keep us posted, Jeremy. I appreciate you coming back to talk to us about this. And thanks for going in to volunteer your DNA too.
Yeah. Can I mention one more thing really quick?
Yeah.
So this is actually, until this case is wrapped up, this is going to be my last interview, because I feel like a lot of this has become centered about me and what's happened with me. And it shouldn't be. It should be focused on Xana, Ethan, Madison, and Kaylee. And so I'm just going to sort of stay out of the public eye. I'll still be available to reach through the various social medias that people have been reaching me to answer questions. But in terms of interviews, this will be my last one until the case is resolved.
Oh my. This is good. Okay, so I think that sums it up. It's all about me. It's all about me, and it shouldn't be. It should be about the victims. So this is my last interview, but I bet somebody could twist his arm to talk again. But I'll still be on social media available to answer questions. And there's Ashley Banfield going, Woo!
What did they say? This is not an airplane flight. You don't have to announce your exit.
What the hell? I don't know. Is Ashley Banfield going to hold him to it? Because at this point, in these cases, somebody always inserts themselves, but you can check off the whole socially awkward thing, because people that are socially awkward wouldn't have given the first interview out in the driveway. That'd have been like, I don't know anything. I got to go.
Well, speaking of inserting yourself, let's go back to the wannabe reporter, if you don't mind.
Okay. Here we go.
Who did she say that she was with?
Well, that's the back of her head. Okay, so drink that up.
No thanks.
Okay. All right, that's the back of her head. So drink that up. And she said she was with the Pathfinder.
Okay, and that's a local newspaper?
I believe, I guess so. Let me see. The Path. I'm just going to look it up. I see a film from 1952. There's a high school, that's the Pathfinder. Well, it's some sort of news publication, but they are saying no. Bad Root Lady is not with us. She's not with us. Why would you pretend to be with the Pathfinder? Can't you aim a little higher? It's the
Well, I know
student
that
paper.
it was the path. Yeah, it's the college student newspaper. Is that right?
Say that again?
It's the college student newspaper.
Yeah. And I guess they didn't even recognize their own because they were like, no.
Yeah,
They
they
said,
made a public announcement that she had no affiliation, right?
yep, I put it on the screen. They said, this is
Yeah.
not true. The individual is not affiliated with the Pathfinder. Members of our students and staff were not in attendance at the press conference. We apologize for the confusion. We are also confused. Yeah. And concerned about the actions of the individual. Our staff has covered the Moscow tragedies in this issue and encourages anyone with information to call the tip line. Don't call this lady. She's a false reporter.
Well, you know, on one hand, I don't put it past anybody doing something like that to insert themselves or to be in a YouTube clip or whatever it may be, whatever her reason behind it was. She still inserted herself. Do we know who her real identity is?
Her name is floating around. I mean, is she going to go give her DNA? She could have carpooled with Jeremy. I mean, if you want to insert yourself in a case, I say do like Jeremy and go all in. Talk to the cops every day. Get up their ass until they finally take your DNA. Do it the right way. I'm going to hold everybody to the Jeremy standard in cases from now on.
Yeah, I hope law enforcement has at least given her a thought.
I would too, because, you know, they always say in these cases that, especially, you know, with the internet, that they really, you know, were tracking the case, looking at the case. They're really on the up and up of what's going on with the case. That they, the Savannah Spurlock case in Kentucky, they were talking about the man who's in jail for murdering her, and his internet searches where he was keeping up on the case. I've never seen one go as far as to pretend to be a reporter to keep that much on the case, though.
Yeah, that's definitely an overstep there. I mean, because law enforcement's only going to call on the press to ask a question at these things. Anybody can go, right? For the most part, but they're only going to call on press.
Yeah, which kind of tells you something about their security, because she got past and she's sitting there with the press. She's got her cell phone out. She's got her little teal cell phone cover on there. She is standing up and she's addressing the chief. And
Front
they
row
don't.
Joe.
So, I mean, I think we have a problem here, don't you think?
I think something that definitely needs looked at for sure.
We have a problem. Was it yesterday, day before? I don't know. I think it was yesterday. And they were talking about the Delphi case and how it came out there was a clerical error. I'm not getting off on that right now. But there was a guy saying, listen, early mistakes that are made and that people are aware of will haunt them. These things are going to haunt this case. The backpedaling saying, no, it's not. We didn't mean targeted. That's a misunderstanding. Someone getting in saying, I'm a reporter with the school newspaper, and they're standing there with their roots hanging out for the whole world to see, and the chief looking right at her, that could kind of maybe show not a lot of confidence.
You have the front view of her? I've seen it, but I'd just like to look at it again if you do.
Nope, I've only got the back of her in all her glory.
Okay. Just want to make sure it's not True Crime and Coffee.
No. And it was closed to the public. So
That was a cheap shot. I'm sorry.
That's a good one too. And it's closed to the public. Not just anybody could get in. So how did she sneak in?
Yeah, I mean, they would do like a town hall or something along those lines if they were inviting the community to come in and ask questions. This is strictly press. So how did she get in? That's a good question.
Is it illegal to pretend to be someone of the press? I'm going to assume that she used her own name. Is it illegal?
As far as I know, and somebody in chat said that she gave a fake name, but as far as I know, it's not illegal to present yourself as a false interpretation unless being asked by law enforcement. Specifically, like, what is your name? Who are you with? And they give a false name. That's illegal. But to just present yourself, I don't think is illegal.
And then to say, look at my press pass. I bought laminating paper and everything. Look at that. I pressed that myself. Look at me. I've got a badge. Is that how we do it now?
Yeah,
she must have had something very, very convincing to get through all of that.
Yeah, I think that there could be more to that story.
I think they better get to it. I'd be checking all the local Walgreens, CVS, and Walmarts to see who bought hair dye right after this. Instead of looking for this K-bar and night vision, I'd be looking to see who bought that color hair dye. You don't think that's a good idea, Jay Woody?
Yeah. I'm laughing, but I'm also just, my wheels are turning. There's so many facets when you have so little information about the probable cause. Wouldn't you think?
I would think so. So if they can sneak past that as the press, what else are we sneaking by? We already said, well, no, maybe it's just the house that's a target. Well, like I said, the house didn't get stabbed, but 4 people in it are dead. Then it's like, well, no. Hang on. We got a lot going on. The only thing that we've actually successfully checked off our list today is that old girl is not with the press and she does not ever look at the back of herself in the mirror, and that Jeremy got his DNA taken. I kind of feel like I've wasted everyone's time. Are you mad at me, Jay Woody?
No. Look, the only way that the house could be a target is if one of the tenants were selling drugs out of it. They're all students. They're not going to have any other kind of illegal activities going on. They're not harboring immigrants. They're not they're not making fake IDs. If someone, and if one of them were selling drugs, I'm sure we would have heard more about that by now. So the house being a target is complete CYA after misspeaking about it being a targeted person. And my opinion, it's not really that important other than the optics right now.
I like that word, optics. I like that. Maybe we are just covering all our bases and putting it all out there so that way when we do find a suspect, which they will, especially now that they're out of the house and they are actually going to be able to go through the montage, the huge pile of evidence that they are bound to have out of that house. So that way we've covered all our bases. We don't look foolish later when they say, oh, it turns out Kaylee did have a stalker. Well, we did tell you guys we were looking into that. We never said she didn't. Whoa, it's tied to the house. There was an ex-tenant that never got their deposit back. See, we told you guys it could be tied to the house.
Yeah, I mean, even if it was something along the lines of some type of bad drug deal or something like that, the suspect would have used a gun. The suspect would have done anything other than using a knife. That's a personal, it's a personal type of murder, something that's up close and personal. That's why they call it a personal murder, not necessarily that you were that personal to the victim.
Mhm.
Take Brian Laundrie, for instance. He could have shot and killed Gabby, but he didn't. He strangled her. It's personal.
It's personal. And I've never done anything like this, not even remotely close. Nothing. And it would take a lot of, I'm not trying to be too graphic here, but I just have to say it. It wears me out to cut up a damn pot roast. This is a lot of energy. This person knew what they were there to do, and they know what they were doing. They know how to use their weapon.
Correct. Because if this was a spur of the moment, like some people have said, crime of passion, you couple the energy that you just spoke of having to do this 4 times in a row with adrenaline, and mistakes are going to be made. It's not going to be as clean as this.
No. And this was a mess. Kaylee's father said that what was relayed to him is left a mess. A mess. Then the court.
And go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you go ahead.
I was just going to say, to bring it back full circle, the house wasn't targeted. The people in there were. We know damn well that that's the facts. I respect law enforcement, and I'll never say anything to throw anyone under the bus unless it's completely called for. But I don't agree with that statement.
Nope. I back the blue 100%, but I also know that they're human, and they know when they've stepped in it. They know when it's steaming, and they know when it's stinking, and they know they've got to say something to cover their bases. Thank you, Mama She. If the house was the target, wouldn't you just burn it down, not worry about the occupants, but the house? So if this was something with the house, you're a maintenance man that like Tommy Lee and Pamela, when he went in there and he stole the tape because he didn't get paid for his work. I'm going to get them. You know what I mean? That type of thing. You're not going to take it out on the people. Yeah. You're going to do something, or you're going to start putting up fake ads so nobody rents that house. Or like Diane said, or just a killer on the loose, which you damn sure have right now.
And you wouldn't kill 4 and leave 2 alive.
No, you wouldn't. Well, my friend, that's all I've got. It's been a great conversation as always. Love having you up.
Yes, ma'am. Love having the conversations with you as well.
You had some jaw-dropping points. I'm going to take credit for those a few shows from now. You're not even going to remember.
We'll see.
No, I won't do it. All right, I'll see you over in Discord.
Have a good Friday.
You too.
Bye-bye.
All right, guys, still left with more questions and answers. I guess that's why we get together so often and go through all of this stuff. This case is got me stumped. Usually early on in every one of these cases, we all know where we're going, where we're leaning. We come in as friends and we agree to disagree. This one, we can all agree that we don't know what the hell's going on. We don't know what the hell's going on. But I hope you guys have a great rest of your Friday. I hope it's not too cold where you are. I'm going to be complaining about the cold for quite a bit. I'll try to tone it down a little. And I'll see you either over in Discord. If you want to join the Discord, send me an email with your YouTube name and I'll send you a link and get you in. Or I'll see you in one of the Facebook groups. This has been a crazy, crazy week. The criminals weren't behaving and law enforcement upped their game. So we had a lot of impromptu lives where we just jumped in last minute. I think one day we were live like all day, it felt like. So if anything goes on that we can't wait to talk about, make sure your reminder's set and that you're subbed. So that way you know that we're all together. So go get your Christmas shopping done or whatever it is you need to do this weekend. Enjoy your football games, enjoy your food, stay warm. And for sure, I'll see you back here Monday morning. As always, 9 a.m. Monday through Friday. You guys are the absolute best chat, best community on YouTube, and I'm not just saying that. I'll see you later.